I did I did some experiments when I first woke up. And again, this is 2013, so we're talking about like the summer of 2013. I did some experiments with meditation and different techniques, I guess, that I was experimenting with of trying to see the future, even though I was advised against it. And this has formed a lot of how I feel about trying to see the future. One of the things that I kept seeing was a power outage. But this was like, I guess, the way I interpreted whatever it was that I was sort of gleaning. Because I wasn't seeing this thing. I was just kind of getting like I didn't have the right temperament, I think, to try to do some of these spiritual experiments. So, but what I did see was some kind of power outage and it being important to me, to my life. And it has kind of colored a lot of my life since then. You know, this idea of like, be ready for something. You know, I had a life-altering event that purely happened in my mind, right? Because a spiritual awakening, it's like, it's all mental. It's all happening in your head. There was a lot of physical sensations of the emotional release of these realizations was a physical feeling in the body, but this was an entirely mental, mostly 90% mental experience. But I kept coming back to this thing about there being like a physical trial. This power outage had something to do with that. But again, it's so vague. Like, and I would never call it a prediction. Like, and of course, like, what's the most fundamental thing about human life today that if you took it away, it would cause cataclysm? Obviously, the power, right? It's like, yeah, of course. There's a kind of interesting phenomenon that is, because that really is it. I mean, energy. It's worth thinking about, I guess. How fundamental this has become, this entire energy network, to everything that we do. You know, talk about that a lot with my wife and other people. It's like, we left the city about 5 years ago, and we're trying to become more self-sufficient, but man, like, we got 4 chickens, and we can garden a little bit, but we're nowhere near self-sufficient. Obviously, it's not like we were under some illusion that was going to be an easy thing. Like, I know it's not an easy thing. I'd like to try to get closer to that. We've been getting away from a lot of products for years, but more about like trying to get our food from local sources, like that kind of thing. There's something kind of satisfying about knowing where your food's coming from. If you have kids, there's something fun, about a childhood where, like, yeah, every morning you got to go out and check the chickens. You got to check for eggs. Something really kind of cool and primal about it. I wished for something like that in my childhood. I believe we tapped into Akashic Records and discovered AI. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. It has occurred to me, yeah, and I'm not the first person to obviously think this, that, and again, I could have mixed feelings about revelations, could discuss that, but I do really feel like whatever they're trying to describe as the Antichrist, yeah, maybe it is artificial intelligence. Any thoughts on the possibility of ontological shock of interdimensional / UAPs? Oh, bro. Yeah. Some people... See, now I'm second guessing it, because, yeah, like, there's this meme nowadays. So the government finally told us there's flying saucers and aliens are real, and nobody seemed to care. Everybody just kind of continued about their day. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, I would have expected that real disclosure of aliens or even just alien technology would have really made a big splash, but apparently no. Like, it's just, and I understand it's because we all kind of suspected that anyway. So yeah, it's not like it was a surprise that the government has been hiding this stuff. Most of us who were paying attention sort of knew that. Whether they're aliens, interdimensional beings, demons, manifestations that just appear differently to different people depending on their mental makeup. Very curious to me. Like, I don't know what to make of it. It does seem to imply that, like, another dimensional being could be manifesting in any number of ways, depending on your level of cultural depth or whatever. Like, whether it's in the Akashic records or whether it's, just in our media. We all know the story. We all know that. And so, could people be experiencing angels or demons or some other type of other dimensional beings, but for whatever reason they're manifesting as these physical looking flying saucer type things, UAPs. That's what appears to be happening, because I got this friend he had very similar experiences to mine, but he had them through like contact with some kind of flying saucer like experience. Something else I wanted to mention, like in listening to myself talk about these things, I'm sort of realizing, like, yeah, like, this is Spirit 101. And I think anybody who's going to listen to these videos, like, if you're an advanced practitioner of this stuff, then this probably isn't for you. I'm really, this is like Sesame Street spirituality. A friend of mine said that your stuff's kind of like Sesame Street, and I was like, I almost wanted to take it as an insult, but I pretty quickly was like, no, man, that's actually a good thing. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. If at the very least, these are things I want to be able to share with my kids, because I feel like chances are, I'm super high in openness, my wife's super high in openness, chances are our kids are going to be super high in openness. They're going to need for these things to make sense to them. It's not going to be just as simple for them, I think, as just be a good person. Hoping that makes sense to you guys.